I'm Krista, I'm an addict.
I'm Grayson, I'm not, and welcome back to another episode. Don't forget, this weekend, October 1st and 2nd, we will be at the Arts and Crafts Festival at Ottoman Park in Henderson, and we will have these little mugs, and we have designed some t-shirts, so we will also have those there, affordable prices. And
please come down and support us. Yeah, please come
down and support us. We would love, even if, to just meet you guys,
So today, I think we're going to touch base on, different types of recovery. I don't even know if type is the right word, but just, I want to share my experience on, I've been to several different programs throughout, this recovery journey, and I guess I just want to, talk a little bit about, what worked for me and what didn't. I know when I first was introduced to, recovery and, the rooms of AA and NA, I was forced into it, and I think a lot of people that I know are forced into it, from getting in trouble or, being court mandated to go somewhere. And my first time in, I was young, and my little spree of using was not very long before I had got criminal charges. So my very first time in, it was very fear-based rather than, being able to, enjoy, the recovery community. And I'm not saying that was, put on me. That's just, I was scared to death. I'd never been in trouble before. I was young. My parents and family were, very, I felt like my addiction was kind of, thrown in their lap. They weren't ready for it. And so all the things that I did and was because, I was scared to go back to jail. That was the reason for all of my choices. I just didn't want to go back to jail. Rather than this time, even though I have, some court accountability, I think because I have experienced that in the past, I focused more on, the therapeutic side of it and getting the help that I needed. And the first time around, as soon as, the court stuff was, lifted, I just went wild. I didn't... I went from having a ton of accountability to way more freedom. And so the mistake that I made is I didn't line anything up after I completed that program to be successful. And that was all of my own making. The night that I got out of the program, I got high the last time. And the scary part about it is that I didn't have any kind of... I don't want to say I didn't have any reservations, because obviously there was something back there that was there, but I wasn't aware that I had any reservations to get high again. And I was young. I did have consequences because of my addiction, but looking back, I just kind of got a slap on the wrist. It was just
you brushed them off and moved on.
Yeah, and so I think over the years, I've obviously had consequences. I've been in and out of jail, in and out of programs, but this time it was more life consequences, life or death. Losing my kids or keeping them, having my family support or being cut off. Those are the things that
it was getting down to.
Yeah, and the program teaches us you're going to be in jails, institutions, or death. And I have experienced every single one of those. So death is really the only other thing that I haven't, had to deal with. And this last time I was, on the verge. So,
how would you say, your perception changed from the first time when it was more forced to this time when, it was still kind of you had to do it, but you were ready to do it. It would have been a decision you chose to do either way.
I think the biggest thing is just, the amount of pain that I experienced, emotional, physical, and I think, whenever, I've had people in the program be if you didn't have enough, go ahead and go get you some more and see how that turns out. And then it's now that I went and got some more and realized that it just doesn't get any better. You're once you've had spouts of recovery and experience independence and getting your things back and getting your family back and then getting it ripped away, the next time around it's just going to be worse. So I think I've shared before not experiencing that yet. And so when you've experienced so many yets, it's just it gets worse and worse and worse. So it's still fear-based. I just don't fear. It's not like because of the courts. It's I fear like dying and leaving my family behind, or I don't fear death anymore. I know that's kind of scary to say, but like I don't. I just fear.
It's not necessarily something in the front of your head anymore, I don't think, as it was before.
Like I just want to live.
Yeah.
You know, like the thing, like also another thing that keep it simple is what you're taught in the program, and that is so important. Just stay in the present, keep it simple. Like I don't think so much about like what I don't have anymore. That is a huge like mindset that I keep now that has been like a positive thing in my success and recovery, is that I just keep it simple. Like I'm grateful for the things that I have right now, even when I don't have like a whole lot of stuff, like have everything that in my mind I think I want. Like I got everything I need. There were times that, like I prayed to have like my independence and my kids back and my family support. Like so on days that I'm feeling sorry for myself, or like find myself anxious or like a little sad about like, oh, I don't have that, and oh, look at what I do have, you know, like that's the mindset you have to keep. Like, and it's real easy to get caught up in the what I don't have, or like look comparing myself to other people in recovery that seem like they have it together. They're really involved in recovery and taking positions in, you know, in the recovery community. Like right now, that like this is what I'm able to do, and so I'm just grateful for that. Maybe one day, but I just don't get caught up in like where I'm not.
So even coming home like from recovery from a family's perspective, it's honestly hard. There's so many expectations I feel like you have, and you have to work through to not. It's like where you don't even know how to feel almost, because you want to have the expectations of life being totally different and all the good, but you also have to keep in the back of your mind like, what if it's not like that, you know what I mean? So you kind of, it's almost a battle for the family to decide how to feel about somebody coming home, and it can be scary. I remember times whenever, for me, especially when I was younger, really most through your addiction, when you'd get in trouble, I wouldn't talk to you for like months at a time, and then there'd obviously be a time where I'd get to see you again. And I remember how much anxiety I would have each time, because it was always I just didn't know what to expect. Like, how is she gonna act? And obviously each time, I mean, you looked a whole lot different, you know, you looked healthy, and it's almost like, is she the same person too? Which is part of when you love an addict, you almost are like grieving them, you know, through it when they're using. But then I feel like nobody talks about when they come back home, adjusting to who they are now.
Yeah, I mean, I know, so when I was using, like, I would always appear to have, like, a lot of energy. I was always involved with stuff, like, and then, like, when I would get clean, like, there would be a period of time where, like, obviously I had used, like, up all kinds of dopamine, so, like, whenever I would get clean in the very beginning stages, like, for me, I know, like, some people talk about being on a pink cloud and everything's great, like, I didn't experience that stuff. I was like exhausted all the time, and I still experience that now. Like, you know, the first couple times, like, been in and out of recovery, like, every time I did come home, I was different. Like, I had went through life circumstances that changed me, like, and especially this time, like, I went through some like major traumatic stuff, I feel like, and I wasn't the same. Like, and you know, I think the difference between the other times that I've been clean and now is, like, before I would, like, it was people pleasing. Like, I thought that everybody wanted me to be a certain way or have all these things, and so, like, I would just, like, I don't know, I think, like, my self-worth was based off of, like, what I was achieving or whatever. Like, this time around, I just have taken it real slow, and, like, again, communication, just like communicating with you guys, like, this is kind of where I'm at, like, I need to take it slow this time. I don't rush into anything. Like, obviously
I think that's an important part. Sorry, I mean to interrupt you,
No,
but
yeah.
like it's an important part for the family's end to be communicative too, because I mean that's a huge thing, because it's a lot for you just to be communicative, but like going back to, we kind of touched on it a couple weeks ago, but like the triggers and stuff, it's like this cycle when they come home, like, or just throughout addiction, like that's a hard part of for the family, is just the cycle of almost grieving the person, like they're using, and then that's who they are, and then they get healthy, and then you have to meet a new version of them, and then if you relapse, there's a new you know what I mean, just constant. But like coming home, even like if you were to fall into old habits like that weren't even necessarily drug related, it's just you have to communicate those things and be forward about it. I think that's important, to be honest with the addict themselves too, because there's some things that you didn't realize unless somebody tells you.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know how y'all feel, but I know, like, before, nobody felt comfortable, like, holding me accountable, like, as far as being like, you're doing this and you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some of my family have said, like, we didn't really want to say anything because we didn't want to set you off. Like, I needed that. Like, I needed y'all to, like, call me out and say, like, hey, you're being kind of a crappy person right now. Or not crappy person, but your behaviors are crappy right now. Or, like, you're not being very responsible right now, or you're being very selfish, like, because sometimes with my addict mind, those selfish things still are sitting back there, like, waiting to attack. Like,
I think it's like, that's what I mean, like through addiction there were things that you picked up, like habits, even like little things, like nothing, I don't necessarily mean anything big, and I don't mean necessarily your personality traits, like, but it became a habit, you know what I mean? Like you picked up habits, and like now those are habits. Now you have a clean mindset, but there are still habits you're gonna have from back then.
Yeah. And a huge thing, you saying that, like, brought back something, but like who I'm surrounding myself around is like a huge thing, because like it is so easy for me to start like mirroring people when they're around me. So if I'm around a lot of people, and not like even just at work or in recovery, there are all kinds of different people that are in the rooms of AA and NA, and they say like stick with the winners, and all that stuff seems so cliche, but it's not. Like if I'm around people who are caught up in the problem, meaning like glorifying like their using days, or still hanging out with people or communicating with people that are getting high, or that's the mindset that I'm going to have. If I'm around people who are reaching goals and are very family oriented and like positive, like, I mean, that's the stuff that's the lifestyle I'm going to have. So
I think that's something you hear a lot of times. Like if you hear, like if you're just catching up with somebody and they're talking about somebody who's an addict, it's always like, well, it's who they're hanging around. I feel like that's such a common thing.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah. Flock together. But it is true, really.
No, like, for real.
Because if you're hanging around the same people, there's like, then you would have to initiate change for yourself on the outside. But it's just so easy when you're hanging around people doing the same thing. For one, I feel like it clouds your judgment to think you're not doing anything wrong, because there's other people like you. But yeah, I mean, it's true. I agree with that.
And like, so whenever say I'm hanging around people who are just like consumed with like conflict and chaos, like, well, I think we talked about this before, like if I'm allowing chaos into my life, like that is what I'm gonna see, you know. And I know like everybody sees this, like people that are on the jail website, seeing what's going on, staying caught up in like in who's getting in trouble, blah blah blah. When I find myself like entertaining that stuff, like I see negative consequences from that, like in my life. Like I might stop, you know, cleaning and like laying around, not reading, or and like scrolling on social media. Like I see myself like doing, and those seem like little things, but it's not. Like, so whenever I like stay off all that stuff and like don't entertain my mind with all that stuff, like I start seeing like positive changes in my like just overall morale. Like like for real. I mean, I'm guilty of it right now. Like, you know, I've been kind of bored. Boredom is a huge trigger for me. Like if I'm bored, or like I start doing not so healthy things just to, and I think that's an ego thing. Like boredom is also sometimes like, it seems boring to me, but it's like my life's balanced and it's healthy.
Yeah.
But I'm so not used to that, and that's that is a huge thing that I'm trying, like that I'm dealing with right now. Like I'm so accustomed to like chaotic stuff and things like I think that's being addicted to like the highs and lows. Like if I'm not like downright depressed, or if things aren't like crazy in my life, like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And because everything was just so chaotic and crazy and addiction, so like it's not familiar. So my familiar territory is like craziness and who's getting in trouble and like what. So that's a huge thing to like adjust to when you're getting clean. And I've been clean 19 months now, like, and I'm still like struggling with that. Like,
that's an important thing to remember too. Like, it takes time to, after like somebody comes home and is recovering, like it's not something that comes instantly. Like, it is something that takes time, and you're going to learn these things. I mean, that's normal life though, you know what I mean? Like, everybody has to learn skills throughout their life and change, and that's no different for you, you know? And I feel like on an addict, there's so much expectation placed when they come home to, you know, do this and that, and, you know, and you feel that too, you know, like you feel as a normal human being that there's more expectation and this and that placed on you probably than me.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know that, I can't say that for you.
I know what you mean, yeah. In a general sense.
You know, when you catch up with someone that you haven't seen it, like, or when I have caught up with somebody and they're like, what are you doing with your life? Like, this is a huge, like sting on my self-worth. Like I've been working in a factory right now, and I'm so grateful for the job, but like I also, like, that's not where I want to be. But right now that's paying the bills and that's taking care of my family, and I'm able to have a place to sleep. Like I have a thing hanging up on my wall right now. I still remember the days that I prayed for what I have right now. Like I have to keep that forefront of my mind, because when I'm talking to somebody that's like my age, who obviously is at a different place in their life, I find myself like feeling bad about myself because like I don't have those things, but like I gotta get myself in check real quick. And just like, it takes time. I don't have to have everything back right now. And even like I find myself like, gosh, like somebody that's been clean for a while and they have, you know, like a new car and a home, and like they've been clean for 10 years. Yeah. Obviously they put in the work for that. Like, it's gonna take time. So that's, you know, like those are the people that I try to like stay in contact with, because obviously what they're doing is working for them. So rather than comparing myself to them, I just stay connected with them and, you know, take suggestions from them. And another thing is like, you know, and my family doesn't do this now, but before it's like, are you back in school? Are you doing this or that? Like, those expectations placed on me, often I found myself very resentful towards them. Like, and so again, that's just where, like, my parents and I have communicated. Like, I had signed up for school and it ended up, you know, not working out for this semester, but it was a good thing. I think that was like a God thing, because I wasn't ready. I had a whole lot on my plate. Had a lot of outside attacks on my, you know, my energy, and so like right now just wasn't the time. Mm-hmm. But at first, like, I wanted to get back into school right now because I felt like I didn't have a goal right now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, my family, like, y'all are just so supportive. Like, I think it's because I've lived so crazy and relapsed so many times. Everybody's like, I don't want to. Okay, whatever you're doing, okay, because it's, you know, like, it's working right now. But I don't know, just having the support for sure.
I think that's a big thing though for you, like going back to like you feeling like you had to rush into school and do that and stuff. That's stuff you've had to learn too. Is like, it's kind of funny, we were talking about this earlier, but like the impulsiveness really, like, of making like huge decisions like that, because once again, the expectations that you felt were placed on you to, you know, you very much have the aspect of rising above. Like, you always want to do better. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, even with a job, like, you want to look for new jobs and get it better and higher and higher. And same with school. You felt like you needed to go to school immediately. Just, it's almost like you feel sometimes you have to prove yourself.
Oh, and I think, like, I don't even know if that'll ever go away. Yeah. Like, I try to, you know, I work with people on that right now, because I do have that, like, I think there's a fine line between, like, having healthy goals and having unrealistic expectations on yourself. Yeah. And that has got me high before. Like, and, like, now, today, I just try to, like, have short-term goals. Like, I don't try to think, like, oh, I need this and this and this and this to be successful. Like, dude, sometimes just, like, waking up, taking a shower, eating 3 meals a day, and drinking water is, like, yeah, I've done well for the day. Like, but, like, that's kept me healthy this time. Like, not feeling like I have to be super mom and do everything do everything. Like, I'm okay just being content. Like, okay, I made it through the day. Sometimes that's all I can do is not get high and, do what I gotta do.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And that's, like, I just have so many other people that are going through the same thing, like, in recovery, and, like, we all talk about it, and you feel less crazy when you can, relate to other people. Like, I talk to my family and y'all all day long, and, I mean, that it's great to have that support, but you gotta relate to, like, people that are going through the same things as you.
That's what I was thinking, too. I feel like in your past recovery, you didn't, like, especially, like, when you'd go to rehab or something, you'd go to rehab, come home, and try to continue living life, but you never had that support of other people in recovery with you. It was always just you doing it on yourself, and this time I feel like you have made it a big part of your recovery to have supportive, also other recovering addicts around you.
My mindset before was like, I didn't think I was going to have to go to meetings the rest of my life, and I didn't want to. And I think that is just, like, accepting that I'm an addict. Like, I don't know if I just thought that I was, like, obviously I know I'm not any different than anybody else, but, like, I just thought that I could finagle my way around it a different way. I wouldn't have to go to meetings. Like, this time around, like, okay, you've proven to yourself you clearly are. Like, you can't do it any different way. Like, listen to the program, do the steps. Like, I'm just really adamant this time about being involved, and that's another thing. Like, this time around, I was at the end of the pandemic, like, where everything, when I first came back in, was, like, online. Like, it was Zoom meetings. We did counseling over the phone, over Zoom. Like, nothing was in person. And, like, all the recovery prior to that, like, it had all been in person for me. And, like, fellowship is just a huge, like, I realized how important that is. It is hard to fellowship over the phone. Like, I need that in person, like, face-to-face contact with other people. So that's been a difficult thing. If you got clean during the pandemic, that's, like, from my personal experience, like, the online stuff, like, that is not where it's at. Like, being in person, being able to do things with other people in recovery is just huge. Like, huge to being happy in recovery. Like, like, I think that is another thing that I've experienced. Like, again, it goes back to, like, that chaos. That is what was, like, fun to me before. Like, and that it hadn't been fun for a long time. But, like, just not being responsible. Like, I thought
that was normal to you.
Yeah, being in recovery, I'm like, again, it's like, this is kind of boring, but you can have fun in recovery. Like, when I was living in Hopkinsville, like, their recovery community, like, they had, like, dances and parties, and everybody was clean, and it was like legit fun. It's awkward, like, when you're dancing, when you're sober, it's awkward, like, at first, but then you realize, like, it doesn't matter. When, like, you were able to, like, be able to have fun and have a sober mind, like, that's a game changer. Like, you just don't care what anybody thinks about you. Like, and other people, it's just, you can have fun in recovery.
I feel like a lot of what you discussed today, of, like, how you felt on a more surface and simple level in terms, is it really came down to learning how to change your perceptions on multiple things.
And again, like, I keep going back to, like, it's an internal thing. Like, when you experience that psychic change, like, you're taught in the big book, like, it's just everything's going to change for you in recovery. So I don't know how to tell someone how to experience that, work in the steps. But again, it was like a spiritual thing for me. So now I'm doing exactly what the program has taught me, giving back to those that are, starting out, because you can only keep what you give away.
Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, we will be at the Arts and Crafts Festival this weekend, October 1st and 2nd, with our t-shirts and mugs, and we would love to see all of you guys. So please come and visit us, and thanks for watching.
Thank you. Keep coming back.
Keep coming back.